is pulsing through,
There
and
we
there we
go.
are
There we
live.
go.
There we go. We're live and in living color, Michael, mate.
It took for bloody ever, but thank you, Vinny. I hope you're feeling better. That's New York Vinny. He's in Seattle. I'm Michael Knight. I'm in Pasadena. Mikey and Vinny take on the world every Monday, every Wednesday, and every Freaky Friday. And here we go, freaking. In fact, we missed Wednesday because of technical difficulties, and only in that time did we miss the debate, the Haitians eating dogs, and now Secretary Blinken's getting ready to speak to the press about events in the Middle East. So there's some real news and there's some crazy news, news that overshadowed the debate. The elements of Donald Trump's approach to life have gotten so bizarre, increasingly bizarre. You'd think that with the criticism he received for talking about dogs and cats being eaten in Springfield, Ohio, would have turned his mind to something else, maybe a real issue for the press. But no, he went to Arizona last night, Vinny, and continued with the whole thing. The same speech, the exact same wording, the whole thing. These are the worst people. They're eating our pets. They're eating our dogs, our cats.
I mean, are they, nobody's asked, have they noticed the reduction in the number of cats and dogs?
It's not going on. Believe me, there's reporters on the ground all over that poor town.
Yeah, in that vicinity. I mean, is there any proof that they can come up with
No.
that this is actually happening? Now, listen, I'm not going to say that I don't believe that there are some societies in this world that eat cat and dog. You can go to China, you can go to various places, and they do.
Ohio's not one of them that we know of.
Right. Ohio is not one. And if one person does it, it's not but the problem is you had, um, I guess, this woman is traveling with Trump who ought to disqualify him from the presidency right away. The one that wrote
Loomer.
yeah, the Laura Loomer, the post about if Kamala Harris gets elected, there'll be curry coming out of the White House, and there'll be I don't know phone centers in the White House, so when you call or complain about something, it'll be something about as racist as you could get. I mean, she may as well just drove up there and placed a couple of lawn jockeys on the by the Rose Garden.
And those aren't racist. Those are just a place to tie your horse if you're white.
Right, just a place to tie your horse if you're right, if you're white. It was the first replacement, early replacement for human beings. They said we can get this guy here. We can
Our buddy
paint him
Rod,
black.
our buddy Rod Long used to have a lawn jockey, and it was white.
That's
It
what I
was
like.
great fun to go to his house and see that every day.
Uh, but we have him traveling with her on his plane, showing up at the 9/11 memorial, which insulted me.
And Vinny, they went to the one in Pittsburgh too. They went to one in Pennsylvania too. They went to
Yeah,
two memorials.
yeah, they figured out two ways to insult me, and I just don't know. Is there anybody on this Trump campaign
On this planet.
that is smart enough to go to this guy and say, this isn't good? Even if this
Well, I
is
hope
what you
not.
believe, keep your mouth shut. Don't hang
Well,
out with these people.
you know
Oh,
that type of a.
she's a bit of a hottie, so he's going to hang out with her because to him, above all, it's being surrounded by beautiful women, beautiful white women.
Well, she's a strange one though. I mean, she's got some weird genetic signal going on. I don't think she's a
Well,
hottie.
he's got a weird genetic signal,
Well, that's a damn fact.
and you put that next to. And by the way, it's said that she is the source of the rumor of the dog and cat thing. It seems to be
Well, she told J.D. Vance before she told the president, apparently.
right, and JD found it on Facebook and decided to give it to Donald. I mean, I was in shock when he said that. I
It actually
absolutely I stopped what I was doing.
it actually cracked up Kamala Harris. She just laughed and said, you got to be kidding me. You got to be out of your mind. You must have wet your stamps. We're beyond reality here. We're far beyond the edge of reality. This is something that Monty Python couldn't have made up on their best day.
Yeah, I mean, this guy is a total. I mean, I don't care if you don't agree with anything that Kamala Harris has to offer. Just the look of her up on the stage versus the look of Donald Trump up on that stage.
Miles apart.
I know who I want running the country. And if you don't like what Kamala Harris does, you have 4 years to vote her out.
And tell me what's wrong with the people who wear t-shirts instead of clothing. Well, I'm wearing a t-shirt. Otis Redding t-shirt, by the way. And say, yeah, he was a little off base. That was a little surprising, but I'm still a big supporter. I'm still a big fan. I'm with him all the way because of his economic prowess, because he's so good on the economy. I
How
shake my
good
head.
was he on the economy?
He left us trillions in debt,
He
unemployed.
raised the national debt to the highest it has ever been in the history of the United States. It'll take
I better get some
your
coffee.
grandchildren and their grandchildren to pay it down. That's what he left us with.
I just remember the picture I saw on Facebook of RFK Jr. peeking around a tree and said, "Anybody talking about eating pets?"
Yeah, I know. No wonder he endorsed him. Because maybe get a couple of free meals out of it.
Woof.
I don't know how anybody could look with any kind of
Respect or understanding.
respect or understanding around. Look at these two and say that's who I want to run the country. And the continued lies from the Republican Party about Trump and that he's only kidding, he's only this, he's only that. He looks like he's sick. He looks like he's demented.
You know, his mouth has changed. That's what I noticed about the debate. He holds his mouth differently. There's something different about him. There's something new and decayed about him. Something has come apart. Some parts are missing, and no one has addressed it.
And he also doesn't look. He doesn't look toward his. I don't think he looked toward Kamala Harris like 3 or 4 times the whole night.
Not once. She nailed him on the handshake, and then it was all downhill.
Yeah, that handshake was. I mean, you could. She shook him up so much by that handshake that you could almost say that was it. That's made it over right there.
He all but staggered trying to get away from her.
He didn't know if she was going to shake his hand or punch him in the face, and
He
I'd have
was
been happy with either.
either one was good with me, or both. Shake his hand and then give him one.
Then pull him in and roundhouse him. Yeah. I just think I think the only fault that I saw in that debate for Kamala is that she really needs to get out and explain to people more of what her plan is,
I don't
what
agree
her
with that.
agenda is. An economy, what does she call it?
Opportunity.
Opportunity economy doesn't quite say what's going to happen. And I think that she
I
really
think
needs.
at this point too many numbers are going to get in their way, but I know what you mean.
No, see, I don't think you got to do it in numbers. I think you got to explain it to people in very simple terms that say, this is why it's going to get better. This is what I'm going to do to make it better. My economy opportunity is anybody who has a student loan is going to get half of that loan forgiven, provided they take that money and invest it in da 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 da. Anybody who wants to get a $50,000 loan for us to start a small business has to come to us with a business plan. And it has to be out, and it has to be approved, and it has to be something a community needs, or you have to be willing to go somewhere where a community needs. We're going to make financial assistance available to many people that need it,
Individually.
but there are things you're going to have to do to get it. It's not going to be just a $50,000 check showing up in your mailbox and tell you to go start a small business and you go out and buy a Camaro.
That's a small business for the mechanic.
Yeah, you're going to have to show that you can do something, that you can contribute to the economy.
You think Boeing can get one of those $50,000 loans?
I don't know. I think the small business right now is the roach coach rolling along Bowen picket line.
Yep.
I don't know.
I,
I don't. I got a funny feeling that's not going to last that long.
$1 billion a month.
It doesn't make sense with all that Bowen is going through right now. Maybe it's me, but it just doesn't seem that Boeing. You can't have the economy going down a month before a presidential election.
No.
Joe Biden or somebody's got to go over and grab this guy and say, "Listen, get this thing settled and get it now."
I will order everybody back to work.
Right. I'll give him a 90-day cooling off period.
Did the astronauts die? No. The capsule came home without them, and it worked. But no one was
Uh,
willing to gamble. No one was willing to take that gamble with 2 lives.
Well, and that was because the people who were in charge of that mission were the people who were young techs when Columbia blew up.
Yeah, they remember.
And they remember what that looked like. They remember how that felt. And maybe I mean, I hate to say this, but maybe it's time for Boeing to reassess what they're doing. Should they be involved in space? Should they be involved in all of these different things? I mean, it seems that the SpaceX people seem to be able to build these vehicles a lot quicker, a lot faster, and a lot less money.
And
I
so
was
far, their
looking at
work
those
history is pretty
spacesuits.
good. Yeah, the spacesuits are interesting.
Um,
They don't even
for
look like
20
spacesuits.
years, the government has been trying to build new spacesuits. SpaceX got it done in
And
three
they work.
years,
And they work.
and they work. With some guy floating out in space out there last night
Yep.
or yesterday.
I'm
So
sorry that it's Elon Musk, but he doesn't actually build them. So there's that. It's his money.
is SpaceX Elon Musk or what's the blue something is the Amazon guy Bezos.
Yeah, SpaceX is Elon.
Yeah,
Or Leon, depending on if you're
Leon.
Eastern
Yeah,
time.
his name Leon, who now is not worried about space anymore. Now he wants to sit in the White House with the president, tell him how to run the country.
First, we got to get the White House kitchen fixed because they're serving cat and dog to anybody who wants it.
Now we know where Biden's dog went.
Poor Major. Is this a Major burger? Oh, this is the last one.
Gonna get it now. Oh my God!
Tastes
It
better
is-
with extra cheese and a little sauce.
So what? Let me ask you this question,
Here's
and
the question.
I'll let you ask it to me too. What does Kamala Harris have to do to win this thing?
Don't change a thing. Just keep firing on the cylinders you're on. Keep pushing the same points. Keep pushing the same speeches. Keep pushing the same criticism. Keep challenging him to debates. Keep catching him at every corner. Change your speech more often. Get to the get to the hard parts. Stay with the battleground states. That's where the fight is. Obviously, the polls prove that. And every time you do a major event, you make $40 million. The money's behind you. And there's some ugly ads running in Ohio because her husband's Jewish. They're suggesting that there's something untoward going on there, part of the international Jewish conspiracy.
It would be Ohio, wouldn't it?
And that's the kind of attack ads they're going to face, and they're going to get muddier and dirtier and more unreasonable as we get closer, because Trump's going to dump his last money into his last hope, and he's at the end of his tether. Uh, he hasn't made gains since he was shot, and some people want to know why his ear is not scarred. Good question, but it
Yeah,
ain't. It's a perfectly good ear. Although he
plastic
can't
surgery.
he can't hear any criticism, and there isn't any. In fact, what happened to Lewandowski, the new guy who was supposed to run his campaign? There was no change. There was no reset. There was no new ads. There was no new speech. He's still doing Hannibal Lecter. He's still doing, uh, I can't pronounce her name. He's still saying, I don't know if she's black or she's Indian or whatever she wants to be. All the old tricks are still in there. All the old accusations are unchanged. And Trump is the only thing that's changed is he's got Laura Loomer on the plane to fill his head with nonsense before he gets off to make another speech. And
Yeah,
so
because that's all he knows.
his most important speeches now in the battleground states, Vinny, are falling on not deaf ears but convinced ears. He's not growing his base, and he can't. Not with this material.
That's all he knows, Michael. All he
That's
knows
all.
is what he, it seems like
And I
he
think his
reads
deterior
something, he learns something at the beginning of the week, and that's all he can do the whole week.
yeah. And his deterioration is marked and noticeable, and I think we're going to see it continue. I think he's probably on the edge of exhaustion, and God knows how he takes care of himself, but not very well.
He probably has the same regimen I have. It's yeah, it's kind of it, it, I just
He's not strong enough to govern. That's what's obvious.
yeah, I don't know if he's strong enough to win the election. He's certainly not strong enough to govern. He's strong enough to sit in a room for a year, make all these crazy decrees that a president can make, ruin the country, and then hand it over to J.D. Vance.
He's strong enough for that, yes.
That's what he's strong enough for.
He's well positioned for all that to happen.
He's got a year, and his year shows that he'll be able to do what he wants to do.
Because we haven't commented on the debate much because the content was so weird, I just want to say that Kamala, when you take the totality of all her accusations and comebacks and pointed comments to Trump and takedowns, it was like 25 to 0. He came up with nothing. He came up with the dogs and cats, and that was the most memorable thing. He made no other comments except, "I have a concept for a plan." That stuck well. That was that
Yeah,
was
I
that
mean,
that, that was something off the cuff that he should never have said.
so 5 years that he's been talking about this plan. Now he says he gets nailed with it a month and a half before the election, and he
Got it.
says, "Well, I have a concept for a plan."
And the concept for the plan is, I'm going to tell you every 2 weeks that it's coming in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
You said that 2 weeks ago. Well, I mean 2 weeks now.
and people, either forget or don't. No, the Obama plan expires in 2 years.
And in response to all this, Vinny, the Republicans get together and they can't vote. Once again, they cannot vote to keep the government open. They can't do a continuing resolution. They put Speaker Johnson put it on the floor and had so many Republicans bail out of voting, they had to pull it. So they didn't have the votes because they had nowhere near the votes. Something Nancy Pelosi would have never done. You don't put a bill on the floor until you know you have the votes. He tried it the other way and had to pull it. So there is no continuing resolution to run the government.
Yeah, which will be
And
maybe they'll shut
that was the Republican move after coming back from a long vacation. Okay, we're here. We're going to do more of nothing.
maybe they'll shut the government down. Excuse me,
Thinking that we won't
for
count the
election
votes
day.
if it's shut down. Yeah, a good idea.
Yeah, shut it down for election day. That's the way to go. I don't know how it. I
It's
just don't know
exactly
how they're not there to govern. They're there to rule.
it's exactly the type of move you make if you want to lose the election. If you want to lose the House and the Senate too.
Yeah, there's no. There's no.
No initiative.
Yeah, there's no feeling like they want to govern people. And again, I think one of the biggest mistakes he has made, and he is continuing to make now, is having this Laura Luna by his side. I mean, this is a big moment for him. I mean, she gets on the plane. She's traveling with him, and she's not traveling, and he's not traveling with Melania.
Nope. Or any of his children. None of the boys aren't around anymore. What happened to them? What happened to Uday and Kusei?
They
They're looking for gigs. They're looking for a job with Fox.
yeah, they probably are. I think they know it's over. Let's see. She unabashedly claimed that 9/11 was an inside job, calling Islam a cancer, accusing Ron DeSantis' wife of exaggerating breast cancer, and claiming that President Biden was behind the attempt to assassinate Trump in July. She posted a racist joke about the vice president just 2 days before the debate. The vice president's mother is Indian American, for anybody who didn't know. Ms. Luma wrote on X that if Ms. Harris won the election, the White House would smell like curry.
I like a good curry.
Yeah. Even Lindsey Graham is calling her toxic. The best one was when Marjorie Taylor Greene
Said I don't want any part of that.
said, "Get away from him." I don't
He's
think she has the experience or the right mentality to advise a very important presidential election, Mrs. Green told reporters Thursday
plus he's
morning.
my sometimes boyfriend. To get away from him.
Let's see. Let's see. She took the X, favorite media, Mrs. Loomer did, calling Green and Graham disloyal to Mr. Trump while making a string of accusations about their personal lives. She's a winner.
Yeah, she's a winner. Put her on the plane. Take her to 9/11.
She's a winner. This is the kind. I mean, as somebody who 20 years ago you wouldn't have him come within 150 feet of you.
We have no idea what Miss Loomer's about. We don't read her material. She doesn't advise the president. We advise her to get psychiatric help.
I mean, you wouldn't let even. Who was that psycho that wanted to run for president back in the 80s or
The
90s?
guy from New York who said the rents were too damn low, too
Wayne.
damn high.
Wayne, not Wayne LaPierre, but
Wayne Fontana and the Mind Benders.
no, they only wanted to run for music. What was the? I can't remember his name now, but he was like a white supremacist party candidate, and
Wayne from Duquesne.
and you know they They ran from him like it was going out of style. This one puts him on a plane.
Get on the plane. You
Get
want
on
you
the
want
plane. Come
you
on.
want a
Maybe you
Diet
got on
Coke?
the you give head. Come on, get in. It's like a combination of Goodfellas. Oh, you got nice legs. You give it a lot. Come on, get in.
Get in. Where are we going? I'll tell you. I'll tell you later.
If I don't like you, one of the boys in the back will like you.
Guaranteed. Guaranteed.
And if you go all the way in the back and open up the doors back there, you'll see Uday and Kusei. And they haven't been fed for a few days. We haven't run across any cats.
Well, there's not that many around.
Hey,
You don't see
people
many
don't
cats
like
near
dogs.
Mar-a-Lago. Not a good place to be a feral cat.
So, but go back and visit them. See how they're doing. They
And
could
we'll
always
talk.
use a little something.
Next stop, Arizona. We'll talk.
Yeah, we pick up a lot of snake in Arizona.
Part of the territory.
If you were the chef on Trump's plane, wouldn't you be cooking up some rabbit to make it look like cat?
Meow. Meow.
There's a Three Stooges clip like that I gotta get. It's with the cat every time the cat's lying on every time they punch the meat, they go back on the rocking chair and hits the cat's tail.
Meow.
Oh man. Um, we should spend a minute talking about James Earl Jones, shouldn't we?
James Earl Jones and Ed Kranepool.
And then Cranepool. I'll let you go first with it, James Earl Jones.
For a guy who stuttered, it's unbelievable that he made his living doing voiceovers as the voice of Darth Vader. He gave so much personality and distance to Darth. Darth Vader was not a classical villain. He was an invention. Tall, imposing, the breath. They won't get rid of us this time. And the odd inflections that James Earl Jones had naturally for the character, reading the lines. It was a fabulous embodiment of the two things: the imposing stand-in character and the dubbed-in voice. It was classical, and no matter what he did, and he had many other successes in his life on Broadway and elsewhere. Nothing will match the simple voice of Darth Vader. It will live forever as an example of characterization and voice acting.
Um, yeah, I have a bit of a different take on him. In that uh, his voice was his ticket. See, now I'm not
Right.
a what is that Darth Vader Star Wars, right?
Right.
I'm not a big Star Wars guy, so I tended to look at his career from a different angle. I mean, it was great that he got that job and everything, and what a great voice. But I also tend to listen and look at
His whole
his
body of work.
acting as in movies and in voice work, which but boy, I mean, the two things I always remember about Earl, well, three things actually. The first one being the one that I'm confronted with so much, which is the "This is CNN." Uh,
Yes.
I mean, they stopped doing that for a while. They brought it back now, probably in tribute to him,
You can't do it better.
because no matter what reporter they put out there, there's no other reporter, there's nobody that they have that does it better that makes you pay attention to it more than James Earl Jones.
Right.
I also remember James Earl Jones on a bunch of stuff on early TV when I was a kid. He was one of the black men who made it into guest starring roles on network television. He was in several of those shows, like The Defenders and other shows. And then he really went to Broadway and played in and won a Tony, I think, for Othello,
Hmm.
and then became the Great White Hope.
Yeah.
And he was
Jack Johnson.
the boxer in the Great White Hope, which was an incredible movie. If you haven't ever seen that movie, go to it's on YouTube, it's on TNT, it's on one of the streaming services. Get the Great White Hope and watch that movie. It's a sports movie, but it is so much more than a sports movie. It's a great movie. And then of course the one that baseball fans will will
Remember?
cherish.
Yeah.
He didn't just he didn't just take a part in that movie. He and Burt Lancaster made that movie. I'm talking about Field of Dreams. His character, the novelist, and Burt Lancaster's doctor, who only made it to the major leagues for nothing,
For a
for
cup of
standing
coffee.
in the bat, and he was able to get that one that one time. There was such a you can't watch that without crying. You can't watch that scene and the scene where Ray Liotta, Shoeless Joe, plays with his father. You can never plays catch with his father. You can never watch those without just tearing up inside. You tear up if you go to Field of Dreams and you get out of the car. You tear up. And on top of that, an incredible fighter for equality, an incredible fighter for the theater unions. And I forget if he was head of one of the unions. He might have been head of Actors Equity for a while.
That I don't remember. Could be.
But he won the
For
Kennedy Center's honors. He won a ton more.
for all the menace he had in Darth Vader, he had a wonderful smile.
Yeah. And he was just one of those people who you'd like to sit down and talk to. I always think there's always people that I've said along the way I either have loved to or I'm so glad that I got a chance for a few minutes to sit down and talk to them. And I never talked to James Earl Jones, and I would have loved to. I would have loved to sat down for a couple of minutes and talk to him. Because he just brought so much to the screen. Not just an ability to act, but an ability to touch you, an ability to touch your heart, an ability to make you understand what he was talking about, ability to make you look further than he. I always said as actors, Michael, that make you look. You see a scene and you don't even look at. Some people just look at the actors in the scene. There are other actors that make you look behind them in the scene to see what it's all about.
Hmm.
And James Earl Jones always seemed to me to be one of those actors, and you knew when to fix your eyes on him, and you knew when you could look around the scene. And it was special to have him uh, as I don't I don't now I may be wrong, but I don't know that he ever married a woman that he didn't play who didn't play Desdemona. To his
Huh.
Othello, I think his two wives.
Wow. 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 Wow.
Yeah, I think his two wives, Julianne Marie, who he married and then divorced in 1972. Then in 1982, he married Cecilia Hart, who played Desdemona to his Othello shortly after they wed.
Whoa. I told Othello, I told him, but the play comes out the same way every time. Stop it now. Stop it. You know how this is going to end.
So he has a son, Flynn, and he's won every award you can think about. He's an EGOT holder. Um, and it's
He's got an Emmy. What for? I mean, he's got a.
Emmy, a Grammy, an Oscar,
What
and a
did he win the
Tony.
Gram? What did he win the Grammy for?
Uh, Good question. Beatles 65.
I don't remember him on there, but it's possible. Is that his voice? It said, "Sit you down, Father, rest you."
Uh, Emmy, Outstanding Supporting Actor for in a mini serial for Heat Wave and for Gabriel's Fire. Grammy Best Spoken Word Recording for Great American Documents in 1977.
There you
He won
go.
an honorary Oscar in 2012 and the Best Oscar Tony for The Great White Hope.
There you go. It's a lot of awards on the shelf.
You got those three. You're part of those four. You're part of a rare group. You know that Mel Brooks was a EGOT winner too.
What Grammy did he win?
I
Probably for
think
the
he won
producers.
for the producers, if I'm not mistaken.
That's what I would guess.
Mhm. Emmy,
Springtime.
Emmy for the Sid Caesar, Imogene Coca, Carl Reiner, Howard Morris special. Best spoken comedy album, The 2,000-Year-Old Man in the year 2000. Oscar, the producers, and Tony, the producers.
Tangerine. You got an orange, you got a lemon, you got to put them together.
It's interesting. It's a very interesting list of people who won these for Marvin Hamlish, Audrey Hepburn, John Gielgud, Rita Moreno, Helen Hayes, Richard Rogers.
Well, to change the subject drastically, how did Ed Kranepool become a member of the Mets?
Yes, yes, yes. We need to talk about our favorite Met. I don't know if you saw. I don't know if you saw what I wrote on Facebook about Ed. Ed came to the Mets in '62. Their initial years, a 17-year-old first baseman and outfielder. And Casey Stengel kept him around and used him sometimes, didn't, but he took him under his arm, much like he took Yogi Berra under his arm, much like he took Billy Martin under his arm. Ed was Yogi's guy, was
Casey.
Casey's guy. He was Casey's guy, and you can see several pictures of Casey trying to give him,
The wisdom of the professor.
yeah, trying to teach him about the game. He saw that he had what it took to stay in the major leagues a long time, and he liked him, and he took to him, and between all the insanity, he had the kid cesspool there, which they used to call him, and so and so he kept them around. He did what he could. He said, I think they sent him back in '63, and then brought him back up in '64. Interestingly enough, he wore in his early career the number 21. And there was a great thing in '65 where the Mets, who would take basically anybody, got Warren
Sure.
Spahn. And Warren Spahn wore number 21
With the Braves for years.
with the Braves for years. And Eddie gave up his number 21 to Warren
Sure.
Spahn.
That's
Said,
what a
no,
kid
no, no,
does.
you take it. And it won him a lot of points with the guys in the clubhouse. It's the kind of guy he was. And he was never the great. He was a good first baseman. Wasn't the greatest. Wasn't the greatest hitter. Wasn't the greatest. He had some key moments in some games for the Mets, but he wasn't the greatest. But you know what? He was the best.
You needed
He
him.
was the best Met. He was the
You,
most consistent Met. He'd come over and sign autographs. He was the people's choice.
Church.
And he never played for any other team but the Mets
Wow.
until 90. He was there from 62 to I think 79. When he basically just couldn't play no more.
That's a long run.
And he was Mr. Met. And you loved him. Nobody hated Eddie Kranepool. And when I was a kid and you'd go stand by the rail at Shea Stadium, he'd always come over and sign autographs for you.
He
Never.
probably knew you.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. His car got stuck on the Triborough Bridge once, and they towed it into my father's gas station. And it's in the gas station, and I recognized him right away. He's getting out of the Triborough Bridge tow truck, and I'm going, holy crap, that's Eddie Kranepool. My father's trying to calm me down, because I don't want to run over there. So my father walks over, says, stay back here. And I walk up, and I slowly slither up there around the gas pumps where the car is being dropped. He had a 62 Rambler or 61 Rambler American.
Good grief.
And the trunnion had broke. There used to be a thing that would hold a tire onto the car called a trunnion. And the trunnion broke at a pothole on the Triborough Bridge. And so I finally, walked up to him, and he was looking at me, and I'm looking at him. And he's looking at him, and he goes, "You're the kid from the rail. You're a loud kid all the time."
I know you.
I go, "Yeah, my father owns this gas station." And so my father had to get parts for it and everything, so it took a couple of days. When he came back, he left the autographed baseball for me.
That's great.
So it was my first autographed baseball, because I used to get autographs on, just to get autographs. I mean, his was an easy autograph to get. But he was just such a nice guy. You know, he was just, and it wasn't just nice to me. He was just nice to everybody. He always appreciated, I think, that he wasn't the best. He wasn't, you know, he was an average, probably a best player,
He was just necessary.
but he was necessary. He was there. He was there because he probably treated people right. He was there because he could play ball,
And Casey had anointed him.
and Casey had anointed him. And even in the days of the '69 Mets, you know, he was playing first base, and they knew he wasn't enough. They knew he wasn't going to get them to the promised land, so they brought in Don Clendenin in '69.
So much of a Don, he had two ends.
And they said,
They said, I'm away
and they
from my
said to
desk.
Eddie, they said, Eddie, listen, we're going to make a change. And Eddie was like,
What are you going
put
to
me where
do?
you think I'll help the most. And they put him on the bench, and he got some, you know, he got some work going down the stretch. I think he had a few World Series appearances. But you know what? He took it like a man.
It's hard to do sometimes.
Yeah, hard to do when you're paid. But the trick is don't forget they were 13 games out when they got Clendenin.
Oh,
And as soon as they got Clendenin, they started moving up. Things came together. Clendenin went there to kick ass. And he didn't care who the guys was around him. He was there to take control and kick ass. Because he knew he had enough talent on that team to win. They just need a leader. They needed somebody to kick him in the butt and get him out there. And that's what he was.
and look what history they made together.
Yeah. I mean, he was on the '69 team. He didn't make it. He was on the '73 team that lost to the A's in 7 games.
He was a miraculous Met.
He was Mr. Met. And you know how good the guy was, Mikey, when the Yankees put up a tribute board to him.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, that's when you know a guy means something. When the Yankees put up a tribute board to him.
But this is about the Mets. What are you doing? No, it's about New York. Run with it. You'll
Yeah.
see. You'll see I'm right about this one.
And I thought that was a class move by the Yankees. So rest in peace, Mr. Cranepool.
The people that called you cesspool didn't know what they were talking about.
Exactly.
And don't buy another Rambler. Think about it, but don't do it again.
I think he got rid of that one. I think he could, you know, that, let's see. So that was probably 65, 66, something, 67, something like that. I would hazard a guess that he probably got a better contract and bought a better car after that. But I remember, you know, the funny thing I remember about it is when he left, I went and I looked in his glove compartment. I got his home address.
Uh,
And I remember one Saturday riding my bike all the way up to White Plains to his house.
had to do it.
Don't know what I expected to find. Don't know expected what I would do when I got there. But I rode up to his house.
It was a trip that had to be made.
I wanted to see where Eddie lived. Ah, great stuff. All right, man. What do you think about the games this weekend? We have a few games. The 49ers destroyed my Jets, but that wasn't hard to do.
Actually, they had to do it without their number one running back. So
Yeah.
turns out that they had the guy who they could plug in, and they're gonna have to do it again because McCaffrey's got a troubled calf and uh, Achilles problem. It's giving him fits. And I would have said we can't win without McCaffrey, but we're doing it.
Yeah, I don't know what. I mean, everybody seemed to be healthy on the Jets, although I thought that Rodgers looked rusty.
Looked rusty, yeah.
I just never. It just never came up to me that he looked.
And the 49ers kept his job as a busy one. It was a busy place to be if you were the quarterback for the Jets. Got a lot of visitors.
I watched the Bills. Boy, the Bills looked good last night.
They
But I
did.
don't know if the Bills look so good or just Miami is.
But Miami started off that game, they looked like they were going to score every time they got the ball. And then, of
Yeah,
course,
then
Tua got hurt.
Tua got hurt. And what do you think of these extra helmets?
I think this is like his third serious concussion.
Yeah, what do you think of these extra helmets that some of these guys are wearing?
Wear them. What the hell? Wear them. It's your head in there.
Yeah, do you
Now, if
think?
you don't if you don't plan to use your head, I don't care. But if you're going to use your head after your career, you put the extra helmet on. Why not?
You think that they're gonna make, or do you think that Tag is gonna retire? I mean, he's gotten hit a number of times in the head,
Well,
and he's
Miami
starting to
hopes he
get into
doesn't.
that territory where maybe you've got hit too many times.
I think the answer to that is already yes.
There's a number of players calling for him
Step aside.
to retire, and now you have
And their backup quarterback didn't look that efficient last night.
yeah, well, yeah, I just I'm one of those people that you know what. Maybe there's a lot of money out there. Maybe you got insurance on me. I don't know. Maybe I made enough money in signing bonuses, but the bottom line is if I'm going to have to sit in the corner and be a vegetable for the rest of my life,
You're going to have a lot of money, Vinny, but you won't know it.
yeah, I'll take to being able to walk to the park with my kids. I'm
What do you got going this weekend? You're going to recover. Vinny's a little under the
going to
weather. You're
recover.
going to
Yeah, I'm
recover.
not feeling too good, so I'm going to take it easy. I'm going to recover, and then I'm going to get ready to maybe next week head down to Southern California.
San Diego, best weather in the state.
I love San Diego, and I love a few of the people that live down there.
Have a good weekend, Vin, and get well.
I'll see you. I'll be back for
Miraculous Monday.
no American Road Trip at 1 o'clock this afternoon. So
Whoa.
if you're in town or you're on the internet, take a listen. We'll stream it from my site, and also we will it'll be on 1150 KKNW in Seattle. So
So
listen
one
if you get a
o'clock.
chance. We have a lot of fun today. We are talking about baseball road trips.
Tell them about the time you drove the team bus for Cincinnati or the Astros or
The
whoever it was.
Astros. All right, Mikey. I'll catch up with you on Monday.
Get well,
Get
Vin.
the
Feel
Lord's
better.
will and the creek don't rise. All right. Peace, love, and Manischewitz, pal.
What a wine, baby. What a
All right.
wine.
Take care. Thank you all for listening as well.